What's up, everybody? It's your friend Eli Bernal over here, your Colombian friend who lives in Canada. And today we're going to talk about a question that people ask me a lot, especially people who don't live in Canada. Can I buy a house in Canada? Let's talk a little about the real estate market in this country. Welcome to Canal Eli Bernal. And before we even start, I would like to say that I'm not a real estate agent. I am not a financial advisor. So all the things that you're about to hear from me here is just my plain observations of what the market is. And also, we're not going to talk about Toronto or Vancouver, which are the most expensive markets in the country with the highest interest rates. If you want to buy a house in Vancouver or in Toronto, only Jesus can help you. And when you talk about buying a house, you're not exclusively talking about buying a house. We call it investing in real estate. And when you talk about investments, there are two important concepts you should know. One, you need to know what active income is. And two, you need to know what passive income is. And I chose the busiest street to do this, but whatever. Active income is the money you receive for the work that you do. So your salary is your active income. Your tips is active income. And passive income is the money that you get from investments or from, like, let's say that you rent a house and you make money with that rent, then that's your passive income. So basically anything that makes you money. And why are we talking about that? Because I'm going to be mentioning these concepts throughout the video. I don't think we should talk about investing in real estate if we don't talk about these two concepts. Okay, but I kind of don't want to just stand here and talk to you about investing in real estate in Canada because it can get boring. So instead, let's play a game. I'm going to take you around my city and I'm going to show you 3 houses that are up for sale. And you are going to try and guess how much they actually cost. What do you think about that, huh? Let's talk about business and let's talk about money. So when it comes to investing in real estate, this is one of your options. You can buy a house like this one that needs to be renewed. This house needs to be entirely renewed inside. But if you look at the outside, I think that it looks okay. It also has a garage. It's located by the railroad. It's a renovator's dream, like they like to call it in the real estate business. And according to all this information I gave you, how much do you think this house cost? Did you say $200,000? You were correct. But remember, houses always sell over or under price. So this one could cost a lot more if there's a lot of demand, or it could cost a lot less if nobody wants it. Alright guys, house number 2. This house has been completely renovated in the inside. It's actually very gorgeous. It's got 2 floors, has a basement, and 2 bedrooms. And how many bathrooms does it have? I think it has 2. So that's amazing. How much do you think this house costs? It also has a garage. As you can hear, it is located near a main road. How much do you think this house cost, you guys? Did you guys say $350,000? Bravo, you are correct. And once again, don't forget that it might sell for a lot more than this. This house, you may look at it and you may think like, okay, but in the inside is absolutely gorgeous. more expensive taste or have a bigger family, this house back here is a brand new house, I think. I don't think this house is too old. It's a lot newer than the other ones we just looked at. It has 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and it's located in a nice area. It's a residential area, and it's also located by a main road. How much money would you pay for this house? Just kidding. How much money do you think it costs? This house is $680,000. And yes, it is a little bit more pricey than the other ones. But if you want to dream big, dream big. You know that to achieve your dreams, if they're big dreams, then you need to work twice as hard. Don't let anyone ever tell you you cannot afford a house like this one. Because if someone could, you can too. Look at this spectacular house at the back. Isn't it gorgeous? It's a very big house, and if money is not a concern and you want to live in a big house that has property by the lake, this is property by the lake. No? River. This is property by the river. Like the back of this house has like literally like the river right there. It needs some changes, but it is located in a nice neighborhood. It is very nice, it's big. How much do you think this house cost? But let's do a different exercise this time. I'm not going to tell you how much it actually is. You tell me how much you think it costs. Leave it in the comments. I'll tell you if it's true or not.
Be good.
The biggest and most burning question that have people scratching their heads and worrying about things they shouldn't. Can I buy a house in Canada? I don't know. I don't know how much your passive income is, if you have any. I don't know how much your active income is. I don't know how much money you spend on cell phone bills, on your car payments, I don't know how many kids you have. I have no idea if you can or cannot buy a house in Canada. The question is, if you don't live in Canada, you shouldn't even be worried about it. Don't stress out about things that you cannot control. If you don't live in this economy, it's very difficult for you to understand the concept of debt and to understand how much actually a house costs, to understand how much money you make, how much money you can save, how much money you should invest. All that stuff you can only understand if you live in Canada. If you don't live here, I recommend you to worry about things that actually matter to you right now, which is getting to Canada, getting everything in order so you can get here, so you can get a job here. And once you get a job here, you can actually know if you can save money or how much money you can save, how much money you should spend. All that stuff that you're so worried about right now, I really recommend you that you don't worry about that stuff. Get to Canada first. If you don't live here, that's priority number 1. Not thinking about buying a house. Another thing people ask a lot is it easy to buy a house in Canada? I don't know, nothing in life is easy. You would need a bank loan, you would need to show that you have a good record. So there are a lot of things that you need to consider. And also, like, I don't know what kind of person you are with money. I don't know how smart you are about money. Because if you are a new immigrant in Canada and you still have the mentality that you had back at home, which is spending money to show other people that you have things, then you're gonna run into trouble in Canada. One, because possibly you will be spending all your active income and not investing on anything. And also because if you have that flashy kind of life, like you want to have a new car and you want to have a big house and you want to have like the best clothing so you can show people back at home that you're successful here, and you want to have like that, if you still have that kind of mentality, eventually debt is going to catch you and it's not going to be fun. And trust me, many people live like that here. Many people move to Canada and they don't learn the Canadian concept of money. They still spend money like they were back at home where everything was more affordable. And it's a big problem here. One, because smart Canadians don't do that. Smart Canadians invest their money, invest their active income on something else so that it becomes passive income in the long run. Smart Canadians don't need to have the newest car in the market so they can show someone else that they bought it. They don't really live like that. So if you, depends on the kind of mentality you have, it's going to be easy or not easy for you to have to be able to afford a house in Canada. Easy, I don't think anything is easy, but possible, I think it is. So now the question becomes, is it affordable to buy a house in Canada? Now that's a different question. It is and it isn't. Where do you want to buy a house? Do you want to buy a house in Toronto? Do you want to buy a house in Vancouver? Do you want to buy a house in a big city, in a small city, in a town, in the rural area, etc.? It all depends on where you want to buy a house. Now the second thing is, what type of house are you trying to buy? How much money do you make? How much is the mortgage, etc.? But all those questions, only you can answer. No YouTuber can help you out with that. Only you know your finances. And the problem is that sometimes we don't know anything about our finances. What money comes in, what money comes out, where that money goes. Sometimes people don't know that. And when you are not organized about money, you're gonna have trouble affording anything. So that's why I think it is an investment to buy a house in Canada. Eventually, when you already have the house, when you own the house, you can rent that house and that house can produce passive income to you. That's an investment. And then if you change your mind and you say, no, I don't want to have that house anymore, it's too expensive or whatever, I want to buy a cheaper house or I want to do something else with that money, then you can sell that house and that house makes you money and then you make decisions with that money you just made. I think part of the problem is that sometimes we want to buy $1 million house with a $40,000 a year type of income, and that doesn't make any sense. But it's all about the mentality, right?
I have to live in a big house. It's the house I deserve. I know, live in a small thing, I know, en eso tan pequeñito.
If you have that mentality, then you need to change your mentality. Gotta be smart about money. I feel a little weird making videos of houses that are not mine, but they're just too pretty, too pretty. This is what my opinion is about investing in real estate in Canada. Remember that I live in Ontario. It's different. All across Canada is different. Also, yes, those prices seem to be like very high, but everything is affordable. If you make it, if you work hard enough, if you save enough money, you can get a mortgage from the bank and then you can make your dreams come true. Don't let anyone stand between you and your dreams, and don't let anyone's perception about Canada make you feel like you're not gonna make it. Don't forget to be smart about money like smart Canadians are. And also, don't forget to follow me on my social media, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, Canal Eli Bernal. On Twitter, I talk a lot about different things. On Instagram, I post videos about English tips, about whatever is happening. I give you advice. I talk about life in Canada. And on Facebook, maybe I should use Facebook a little more. Dream big, but remember you have to work twice as hard, okay? Ciao, ciao.